These are in listen-only mode.
Hello, everyone. My name is Andrew Spearing. I'm the marketing director here at Land Effects. I'd like to welcome you to our Friday webinar with Jeremiah Farmer. He's the CEO and mastermind behind the Land Effects software. We're really happy to have you here and excited to give you a little sneak peek of what we have going on in version 10.0. I will be hanging out throughout the webinar and be collecting your questions, so feel free to shoot them over at any point during the presentation, and I'll be collecting those and asking Jer along the way. We really, one of the things that we pride ourselves in here is just, we love your feedback, and we want to hear what you guys, what your questions are, what you're hoping for, what you'd like to see with the software, because we would like to roll that into our roadmap for the new year. So feel free, if you have a question or just a hope for a new feature, feel free to ask that as well. Again, I'll be collecting those and asking Jerry along the way. So Jeremiah, I'd like to pass over the mic to you and go ahead and
do my thing.
Do your thing and show us what the new version's all about, and cast a little vision for what's ahead in 2014. And thanks again for joining us.
Well, thank you. Yeah, let's get right in. So yeah, 10.0, and boy, numbers are so, what does a number mean? It was just fun for me going over and looking at kind of what has been accomplished over the last 9 years, and technically it really should even almost be 11.0. We didn't actually give it a version until about 9 months in, little things like that. But what is 10.0? And I mean, this is kind of how I think of it. Is that oh, I just got a note that I am underwater. So there we go. Let me see if I can. I hope that do I sound less underwater? Okay, so there we go. I think this is a different headset for me, and it was pointed away. I will actually point it at my mouth. But this is kind of what I think of, and when I look at, oh boy, what was this? Basically 11th year of high volume development and support. We processed actually by now over 4,000 tech support tickets. That averages out to about 15 a day. Some little, some big. A few travel events over the year. The ASLA Expo. The mistyped ASLA Expo. Sorry, any ASLA people watching. That was my bad. The Irrigation show in Phoenix. Also stopped by Dubai for a week. Did the Labash Student Conference, which was at University of Georgia. So also stopped by a few of our firms in Atlanta. Did the American Society of Irrigation Consultants. That was in Phoenix, then popped over to Denver for some more on-sites. Got to meet the Sketchup people at Trimble up in Boulder. Did some more on-sites in Seattle. Did the Florida ASLA, and went to Australia for a week. Not for a vacation. That was a work. That was a trade show there and some on-sites. Did, though, have my 1 week of court-mandated vacation. So you can rest assured that I'm completely mentally fit. We had some company changes here. I'm now CEO. My dad and dear friend has retired to enjoy his retirement with my mom. They're working on the house, and actually right now they're technically on a cruise, so good for them. But also 2 new employees, brought on Forrest and Andrew. So a lot going on here at the company. But as for the really, among all of that, I was able to put out 73 different updates. So obviously that's a little, averaging more than 1 a week. 10,000 plus net new lines of code over that year. That averages out to about 40 a day. What is 40 lines of code? One of the things in here that I'm going to show I found was interesting. was that one of these things I'm going to show was right at 40 lines of code. I'm like, oh, that's a great example, right? So this was the sheet set support. This is what it took to integrate with sheet sets. At least what I thought it was going to take. I don't know if anyone kind of wants me to sort of translate this. To me, the important thing, this is the interesting thing with code, at least to me. You can see the comments here in that sort of teal, which is how you can tell good code from bad code as far as I'm concerned. So the more comments, the better, and just important noting. So what I'm looking for in scanning this sheet set data. And this was about 40 lines of code, and that was one day's work. But I put a little box right here because what happened was in processing the different sheet set objects, it didn't work. So that 40 lines of code ballooned because right where that little box was, that is all of this code. So what was, hopefully a one day's quick effort, moving on, dealing with the phone ringing, the tech support tickets, it took 50 additional lines of code to get the darn thing working. So here again, you can see I'm a little proud of actually these comments. I was very, very, because this was really challenging to get that sheet set processing correct. So I had to be very clear with what exactly I'm looking for. So the way I read this, I mean, I know a lot of people go, it looks Greek, but you're reading actually just the comments. So when I scan code, that's what I'm looking at. So that's why these comments are so important, and I really prefer to do, you can see, just make it inline trailing comments on each line so you can literally kind of just read down the right side to see what the code is doing and then worry about the actual code. But that's the last you're going to see of code on this presentation. This is the one webinar a year where we actually show what it's like to get in there and do what we do. What I am going to show you is what a lot of those updates were, what those 70 plus updates covered. I'm going to just actually show you all of these. I didn't want to splay this out into, I tried first having this being a giant bulleted list in the PowerPoint, and it got too big, and then I did this, and now it's too compressed. But anyway, I'm going to start out, I'm going to show you these new irrigation features over the last year, then the new planting features over the last year, some details and site stuff like that sheet set support, and then some miscellaneous things as well. If there happen to be, like this is a good time to start getting in your questions. If after a quick scan here, if there's something that you thought should be here and is not, or you're curious about, do get those questions in so Andrew will get those kind of queued up for me. And we'll be sure to get to that. But also, one last slide before I jump over to AutoCAD and show you all of this is, well, what about looking forward? So very short list. I felt very bad that we weren't able to really wrap up our big plans for lighting for 10.0. So but I had to get over that and accept it. Some things get delayed. So looking forward to 11.0, we have a good amount of headway going with our lighting. It's going to be really incredible. So they're just going to have to put a pin in that and look forward to that for coming together this next year. Also, an incredible amount of new capabilities coming on the Sketchup side. Sketchup 2014 is amazing. And Trimble's guidance, they bought it from Google under Trimble. They're really expanding and improving it and going with it, and they're a really good crew to work with. And so look for more and more capability on the SketchUp side, including things like being able to do a complete plan start to finish, including labeling and dimensioning in SketchUp. That could be pretty cool, right? But that's all for my PowerPoint. I'm going to jump over and now show you all these little things I was talking about, right? Did anyone sneak in a question yet, Andrew? I take it that's a no. Okay. All right.
No, sorry, I was muted. No questions yet, but feel free to, yeah, shoot them over. And again, feedback is always welcome. So if you have a question or even a feature that you're hoping to see, implemented. We do have a question coming. Thank you, Amanda. Um, and I think you'll probably show this, Jer, here pretty quickly, but the exclude shrubs. Um, and she wants a little clarification on what that means and what that feature does. So thanks again for that question, Amanda. If you have any others, feel free to shoot them my way.
Yep, and I'm going to roll through all of those now and actually just show them real quick. So yeah, that one is going to come up. I did want to roll through the irrigation ones first because I was noticing looking over a lot of these webinars, we always do irrigation last, and I feel that's a disservice to our very loyal irrigation people who, especially the people who are only irrigation designers, always seem to have to sit through everything and wait for the stuff that's relevant to them at the end. So irrigation people, we're going to cover you first. But just before them, you will notice I am inside of something nice and shiny and new, and that is FXCAD 2014. So this baby came out. That was an incredible amount of work. We were even able to, I mean, all kinds of little things. I'll point out just a couple. For instance, compared to stock AutoCAD, the list of toolbars has been trimmed. I trimmed the list of toolbars, so these are the stock AutoCAD toolbars, a lot easier to manage than stock AutoCAD. Other fun things, I wish Autodesk did this. This is the Autodesk text toolbar here on the left. And I thought it worked to have the Express tools text right there. That to me is relevant. That's where I think it belongs. Similarly, we put the X list right on the inquiry toolbar. I don't know why, it seems to me that, you want to query things, you want to list things, I want X list. So, we had a little more, well, we have full discretion with kind of reorganizing and trimming even the basic AutoCAD commands. This is how it installs, by the way. I just installed this yesterday. This is exactly how it installs. We go with the traditional button style down here, and I even trim up those buttons. 2014 has this new tab, which is pretty slick, right? That's kind of cool. That's the big salient feature with 2014. We got our new very slick logo FXCAD there. And I think there was one, I'm blanking on some other little random AutoCAD tweaking we did. But things like this, like the standard toolbar, this is the AutoCAD standard toolbar. As you know, the default version is easily twice as long as that. So we rip out a lot of those things, but they're still here. So like one of the things in there is to insert a table and stuff like that. But all that capability is here in the pull-down menus. We pulled very little out of the pull-down menus. But you can see that's full AutoCAD support here, full AutoCAD capability, except for things like 3D commands. The draw 3D commands are missing, but every other draw command is here. So you have absolutely full AutoCAD capability of what is relevant to us, and just trimmed up a bit, tightened up a bit, slap that FX logo on there, and it's great. And we even actually bundled in the Service Pack 1. So it's one, in terms of installing it, Service Pack 1 is embedded into the install. So pretty slick. So anyway, but enough of 2014. That is what that looks like. Let's jump into some irrigation. One of the first things we did, one of the first things I'll mention here is the new equipment, the constant effort with the database and with new equipment. And some things are new to us, such as vertigation. Can you even picture the multiple meetings where we really just determining the name of the category? What is the best name for that category? That's a whole new category, and I believe it's just one manufacturer. But let's see. Easy flow. So very cool. Getting additional manufacturers on board, of course. But what vertigation is really actually cool. I'll just show it very quickly. Pretty slick stuff. It's liquid fertilizer, and it's the different down to a hose pib unit, right? But the ones that really amaze me are these ones that are in line or right on the main line even. You just drop this in, as they said it. It's like it's like all of your plants are on steroids. They just look, all the liquid fertilizer just right in the irrigation system. But that was really fun getting them into the system. Um, and then another new manufacturer stuff was over here in rotaries. K-Rain, new edition. So we got the K-Rain rotaries in there, as well as the Rainbird R-Vans, and also the MP rotators added a 3500. Rotaries are very much representative of the newest and latest greatest in irrigation, and constantly it's getting them in. And then on our end, a lot of the code to place those heads, which might need unique keyboard commands or something to toggle among them, like the Rainbird R-Vans, for instance, to toggle between the fixed arcs and then back to the R-Van. But then to have them all come in just right here, the R-Series rotary, all the different radiuses and the R-Vans all come in together. So just constant both engineering and data entry. So anyway, so obviously there's always this new equipment. Oh, and I was going to actually, sorry, add one of those. I'll go ahead and add the K-Rain rotaries. And so this happens to be a metric drawing. That's why you're seeing everything in metric. But when I go to add this to the project, I get my PSI selection. I want to show this next thing. It'll be a little quick. But if I click OK, it should pop up. I'm waiting for it. It's querying right now. Well, yeah, you didn't even see it, but what it did in the background was it downloaded any blocks that were necessary for those guys. So that was the next little feature I wanted to show, is we're more and more capitalizing off of the continued evolution of the internet, essentially. So the ubiquitousness of a internet connection. So that means that the data, of course, is going to be hosted on landeffects.com, but also the giant symbol library. So when I add that equipment to the project, it's going to download any blocks that it needs all on the fly. So that's really slick. One of the other new features we did was in terms of piping. So when I am in here piping, which is, by the way, the most clicked button in Land Effects is right there, and that was also a very minor change. We put in the word lateral in there. We noticed that it just said draw pipe, and we thought, let's just make sure it's clear. It says draw lateral pipe to distinguish it from draw mainline pipe. So little changes as well as bigger changes. The logic behind the scenes here, what's going on, was improved. So it was to be a little snappier and more accurate. So not something you can really notice there, but one thing you might have noticed, and some people have been really happy about, is look at the command line. It is listing my GPM on the fly as I click. So that's really cool. And I'm purposely going in a haphazard order here so you can see the GPM accrue. And then this is also showing off the new command line for 2013 and 2014 has the color down here, and you can even click on the options. And it's a lot easier to see your command line options with 2013 and 2014. So finally, getting some real improvements to the AutoCAD engine. A lot of people have, admittedly, I would tend to unfortunately agree with them that, oh, AutoCAD 2010 is all I need. I'm like, yeah, I got to admit, 2010 is pretty good. But 2011 brought transparency, which was fantastic, and the 2013 brought the color down here in the command line. 2014 brings the tab. It's almost like Autodesk is working kind of like us, taking a page from our book. Let's do little incremental updates. So that's pretty handy. Let's see, the pipe call out. I want to show there were some changes with that. So let me go ahead and size some lateral pipe so I can show that real quick. And I'll do this valve right here and just get some guy sized. But the pipe call out was improved. Everything is all off of just this one button pipe label. where I can select a pipe, a label, a leader arc, or piped equipment. So that was quite a few options there, right? I can select a pipe, I can select a pipe label, I can select a pipe label arc, and I can select a piece of piped equipment. And if I don't like that guy, I can click D to delete them. So all that in one fluid command. So that was some good feedback from users on what they were hoping for faster pipe labeling. And as you can imagine, they're able to just move right along because you're constantly, you're clicking here, you're clicking here. You might click this guy, you might nudge him a little, and you're just moving along like that, right? So pretty slick. We then had some additional messages for sizing the main line. So I'm going to go ahead and size all my laterals here. Actually, before I do, let me, and this is also a fun test of 2014. So let's hope that nothing breaks, basically, because this will be I'll be running through pretty much everything here in 2014. But first, I'm just going to size all my laterals, and that's going to take about 7 or 8 seconds. Good time to ask Andrew if any questions came in.
Hey, Jeff. Yeah, have some great questions, so keep them coming, everybody. One related to irrigation comes in from Andrew Norlander. Thanks for this question. He had asked a couple of months ago if there was a way to customize rotary irrigation symbols so they could use their office symbols so they act the same way as spray head symbols.
Oh, that's interesting. So so I imagine he was hoping that they would rotate with the arc, which is intriguing. We do have that noted as a wish list request. Here I have some MP rotators, where as you can see, we are utilizing a text attribute for the nozzle code. And so these symbols can't rotate. But you're always welcome to turn on the layer here. Bada bing, there's the layer, and even make that layer, a nice thin gray and plottable, of course. And personally, I think that makes for a more readable plan than having a symbol that can't have a unique nozzle identifier because the symbol has to rotate. Like I said, personally disagree, but listen, if that is your standard and that's what you want, yeah, that is something that's on our wish list. We are hoping to have the ability to have the symbols rotate. As for just customizing them to have them not rotate, that is something that's possible now. And just send us a tech support ticket on that, and we will get back to you with the specifics of how to customize those symbols currently. Just one thing I would mention, though, is in terms of things like that. I don't even have the 3500s on here because this is old data. But things like the 3500, if you go down the road of maintaining your own symbols, then that means when something like that happens, oh, the new 3500s come out. Now you've got to create those symbols as well. And so you're doing what is really not one of our most favorite things to do, but to maintain this massive symbol library and make sure it's always constantly in touch with the latest data. It's not fun. But if that is something that you do need to do, we have some tools available for you. What I would just kind of like to end that discussion with is maybe let us know what you're hoping to get out of the symbols, and maybe it's something that kind of we can do on our end. Maybe we can just engineer in a different symbol option for those rotaries, and then it's in the software, and we're still taking care of it. So that would be a quick thought there. I was next going to show the sizing of the main line, and actually, I didn't even test this, but let me just go ahead. I'm just going to say, what if I want 180 gallons a minute here? So these different messages here have all been addressed. So this is just a real quick thing to show. So the various error conditions for the sizing main line. So a lot of that's behind the scenes, and I didn't prep to have every possible way to generate them. but in terms of reducing the velocity and the questions it would ask during the mainline sizing process, that was there was many little things there that were addressed. So let me jump over here. And I'm getting used to 2014. I'm wanting to jump down here to click on my paper space tab, and I'm kind of thinking, I kind of try to decide if I like this more or less. But anyway, the next little thing I wanted to show was another classic example of something that was a massive effort behind the scenes. The runtime schedule. So to be able to do the difference between, oh, 2 stations at a time, what does that runtime summary look like? And let me come back and, oh, let me try, 4 stations at a time and see if that's a different sort of a curve and different watering window. That entire process was re-engineered over the last year. It was not fun. It was a lot of pulling my hair out. But it was re-engineered to be snappier because we noticed it was just breaking when running like 20 some valves at a time on the larger projects. But of course, if you're like 20 valves at a time, what kind of project is that? That would be a golf course. So it's just absolutely breaking with golf course design. So it was a massive re-engineering there. But unfortunately, at the end of the day, it still was not ideal for golf courses. So there's still some work to be done on that. But it was much snappier. If you are a long-time land effects user, you might be able to notice this, that like just the time between clicking summary and placing it, that used to be a few seconds, and now it's literally instant. So it was a massive undertaking to re-engineer that for sheer speed. And only a couple other quickie things for irrigation. But one was delete station. For delete station, and there's one more pending improvement for this, but I can click on delete station. The classic ones is I can click on, lateral system, and I have the options to delete only the pipe or only the pipe callouts. But I can click delete station, and now I can also click on the main line. And if I was to delete only pipe, it will delete the main line. So that is pretty handy if that's necessary. And then it set the undo marker so I can come back and bring all those back. Again, as you can see, similar to that pipe call out, these hardcore land effects users are like, boy, they're in here and they're like, if I want to be able to click this button and have it do more, basically. And we got that worked in. I have one last thing to show for irrigation. That's with valve renumbering. The valve renumbering was completely re-engineered also to be compatible with a lot of things. And this was an example of 2 valves both sharing a decoder, the .1, .2 valves. But let's just say I go, whoa, I need to renumber these guys. So, and I didn't even test this before running this webinar. I just prepped this morning, so let's find out if it works. But see, I have a gap, so if I click on this one, he's numbered B19. I want him to be B5 to match. And it should ask me, renumber the other valves, beginning with this one. Let's say yes. And we have 5, and I'm not sure where it went from there, 6, 7, but these did get renumbered. It just didn't go in quite the order I thought it would. I think it went up here first. Yeah, see, look at that. Another example of little things that might still need a little bit of work. It looks like it went in a slightly unusual order. I think I know what it did, because it was a letter and then a single number compared to the double numbers. But, so I did notice a couple things it did almost a little wrong. Well, one definitely wrong. I have a B5 here and a B5 up here, which it shouldn't have done. Otherwise, though, it kept these two both numbered 17, which is handy. I'm glad it did that. So a little more continued improvement. See, but the valve renumbering is extremely handy, of course. So it's just all those different styles of numbering. And so another one was some people had valves A, B, C, and D, and have it be able to renumber those as well. But that is it for irrigation. I don't suppose there's any irrigation-related questions.
No, it looks like that's it for irrigation questions. Um, Maybe there is this one by Darren Teal, might be a segue, but the was hoping to see the M leader based call out, um, and any chance of this being implemented in the near future.
Yes, I mean yeah, it's definitely more than just a chance. That's definitely on our radar, and we're definitely going to do that. But as you can see, like this, it's just a constant effort of triaging and prioritizing. I mean, we have a bit of the M leader capability already in here. If I'm labeling a plant, it's automatically switching from left to right on me when I'm placing it, and I have a very nice real-time preview when I'm placing it. So, in that regard, that's very handy. But of course, what makes that different from an M leader is, well, what if I want to move this call out, right? And then also having it connected to the leader. But if I want to move this guy over here, it's not switching to the right. That would be what an M leader would do. That's a it's a great idea. Yeah, that would save some time. But we'll definitely get to that. M leaders, I'm trying to think of what version. Right now we're supporting 2008 and up, and we're about to bump that to 2009 and up. So it's a constant effort on our part of triaging and prioritizing. We can't just jump on whatever AutoCAD feature happened to come out last week. We have a base of users going back a number of versions. So it's important to keep in mind. I would just end with, um, what is the total time savings from utilizing our plant schedules, from utilizing the plant label error checking? What is that? How much time did that save? And so, how much time are you actually gaining by using emulators? It's obviously it's a factor of time, and we'll get there. So, but yeah, that's something that is on the radar for the very near future here. So we're getting there. Um, with planting, first one I wanted to show is brand new Exclude Shrubs. So I have an area here, and you can see I've got some trees in there, and I've got some shrubs, and I have this polyline just kind of around it in general. And I want to place my ground cover in there. And this was a brand new feature here, is I go to place my ground cover, and I have two options. My multiple, so if I have an interior, maybe I drew a polyline around a little picnic area, play structure or something, I could select multiple boundaries. Or I want to exclude the shrubs. So let's type E to exclude the shrubs. It says to select the outer boundary. I do, and I think I missed it. Let me try that. It looks like I clicked on the well, that's just no fun there. Let me I wonder what's going on with this guy. Let me try one more time, and then we might have to put a pin in this guy. Let me just get a one I can select here. Like that. Should do it. I'm curious if this is a couple of things. There was it could be a 2014 issue. Yeah, I think I have that 2014 issue. Hold on. I'm going to try something different here real quick. Let's just try this. Super quick, just to see if what I'm looking at is a 2014 specific issue. I'm just going to draw a box. See what that does. Whoops. Oh, see, it didn't help that I hit M instead of E for exclude. One last try. Exclude shrubs. Pick my polyline. Oh, I'm getting an error. So that is no fun. Yeah, there's my error. Okay, well, sorry, kids. Gonna have to get that addressed. So the good news is that'll get addressed. So heck, I could even fix that live if we want. That'd be kind of fun. But what it will do when that is fixed is it will automatically exclude these shrubs. There'll be a little circle for each of these shrubs, and the hatch will automatically avoid the shrubs. Like I said, random one, haven't seen that. Everything tested fine with that before, so we'll just have to get that fixed. So sorry about that. On to the next one, there was some enhancements to highlight plant. So if I go to highlight plant and select this guy, highlights them in the drawing, right? And you'll notice I have two options now. So one is S to select the current set. That was not one of the new features, but that was the first one suggested by a user. I can click S and it selects those trees. That was pretty handy. So then another user suggested, well, what if I want to do something, kind of more involved? So that's where we did additional similar plants. I'm going to press A, and I get this dialog box. So if I was using additional user fields, like for instance, what if you were using your California water usage, your WUCLs column as one of your user fields? I could instantly select all plants that had that same WUCLs rating. But I can select all 60-liter trees, just like that. So that was pretty handy. Or maybe, in this example, I don't have too many additional things to choose from, but I can, for instance, go right to, let me highlight all trees, and now I can also then click S to select them. I just selected all the trees that quickly. So this is a very handy one, for instance, if you do need to do anything in terms of really carving up a plan. So, what if I go, I need to move all the shrubs or something to a different layer? Well, I can hit A to select additional. I can highlight all shrubs. I can click S to select them, and I can delete them. I just deleted all the shrubs. Or, of course, move them to a layer, or W block them, or whichever. So that was fairly handy, I would hope. I will now show plant color, which is right here. This just squeaked in the last year, was really kind of technically with the last release, depending on how you count the difference between the versions here, whether or not this should be with the 10.0 webinar or the 9.0. But of course, it was just such a huge undertaking, it's nice to show. But being able to apply that color rendering here, it's going in order of smallest to largest, and if I jump over here to, whoa, I'm starting to say I don't like this 2014 thing here. I think I'm going to turn my tabs back on down here, but let me get my plot preview going, and but that's our color render, is getting that very quickly. So, but there was a lot of improvements with this over the last year. So really, as more and more users were using it and giving their feedback on little things, on just making sure you can see the larger plants need to be on top of the smaller ones. So this is looking pretty accurate. So this is looking really good. But yeah, that was continued improvements to that. And I really do. I want my tab rows back there. And then I will go ahead and turn off my color render, so I can move on to the next thing. Actually, just right over here, I'm going to go ahead and just generate a plant schedule. And this was changes here, was in terms of spacing and density columns. So density, I'm not sure if this is really that, it seems to work just a lot better with a metric system. But it's very common in metric areas. So let me go ahead and do the density for ground cover to show you. It's how many plants per square meter. Of course, the square meter is big enough where you can kind of do that, and that's just a very, as you can imagine, that's very handy. Equivalent to a square yard. Very handy way of treating how dense that planting should be. And the other one is the spacing. And so we have the spacing as a column now. a very handy one just right there for shrubs, shrub areas, and even ground cover. So you can do either spacing or density. Yeah, you really wouldn't do both. But I'll go ahead and turn on my spacing column for all of those and show that. And so here's my spacing. Again, being a metric plan, you can see this is in meters. So that's my meters between shrubs. And then down here, my shrub areas and my ground covers toggles down to millimeters. And so, of course, that would have been inches or feet for our imperial friends. But to have the spacing right there, it's just a set column. That was that new feature there we've got. And then, of course, yet more queued up for the plant schedule. So, again, yet more change is coming, as always. And then one other thing with the plant schedule, if I send it to a spreadsheet, and this is a great example, as you can see, I'm on my Mac. I'm running our FXCAD through Parallels, and I do not have Microsoft Excel installed on the Windows side. I have it over here on the Mac side. So when I send my plant schedule to a spreadsheet, it will notice that, and it will now let me save it as a CSV file. So I can just simply, for instance, throw that up here to the desktop, and let me just, in case I'm just picturing someone who doesn't believe me that it works, so I'm going to prove them wrong. So I can just go ahead and open up that. Oh, there. I have to import it. There we go. I have to import it. And can probably just say go. Well, there we go. Yeah, bada bing, right? So now I can bring that in to my Excel on the Mac side. Super handy, but also just to save it as a CSV. But also some people just simply don't have Excel. So in that case, they can always just save it as a CSV. I'm picturing oohs and ahs out there. I hope I'm right with that. Should be an occasional ooh or ah. One last thing with planting, and that is the Sketchup plugin. First, I will show what really was where we. I'll show kind of chronologically. We always had the ability to send over the plant design over to SketchUp. Where I can click a button and it's going to send over my plant design to SketchUp so I can bring that in. And if I was to jump over to SketchUp and there's my soccer park, and here's my SketchUp toolbar, and I want to import in my plant design. And I say import, and it's going to plug right through, dropping them at the right Z elevations. The reason why I'm showing this, even though this is not necessarily a new feature, is that this entire SketchUp plugin was re-engineered. This little plugin here, 5,000 lines of new code. You're welcome. A big effort. But lots of little things involved with that. For instance, if I go to place a plant, I'll go ahead and place a plant here in SketchUp. We streamlined this to make it a little better to be able to place plants in SketchUp. This is one of the newer features. But you'll notice as I'm placing these, notice how they don't look all exactly the same? They're randomly scaled, plus or minus 10%, and randomly rotated. So placing the plants in SketchUp that's a better routine than just copying them. Oh yeah, they're all a little bit different size. Pretty handy, right? But the entire SketchUp plugin was re-engineered, including what I'm also going to now show, which is the send layer capability. So let me show that, which was also really handy. I wanted to just kind of see what I could do. So that was right here. I have a XREF, and I have a current UCS right here. That's not my world coordinate. I set a UCS right there. So here is a XREF. here's a UCS, and I want to get this to SketchUp. That would normally be a bit of an ordeal, and so what we engineered here in the SketchUp plugin is to send a layer. So I click Send Layer, and I'll start with, let's start with like kind of the curb layer. Curb, it's been sent, and it turns that layer off. Next might be here, Pave, turns that layer off. So it's pretty easy to go through a situation like this. There's still, of course, some pending improvements to make this even better, as you can imagine. Glaze, certainly going through. Wall, I think, we're just about there, right? I think. And this is a good example of something it can't do currently. These are blocks, and right now it can't process blocks. So that's pending. So I just simply right-click and turns everything back on. So all that's been sent over to SketchUp. So come over to SketchUp, and that was this project that I made just for that. And I go to Import Layer, and there they all are. And this is also the next pending one, is I want to be able to go, kind of select them all, but there's just a lot of processing, and that's why it doesn't let you do that right now. But let me start with curve. And so it's going to recreate all that, then it zooms, extends. It made those faces. So we did curb. Let's go ahead and do pave. And kind of step through them all. But yeah, you can see, I mean, it's hard for me to remember which ones I already did. So obviously that's the next immediate improvement of this feature, is to kind of let me just basically say all. So it's looking like that's all there, right? And that's pretty handy. And then can obviously just jump right in. And so since these were all, it went ahead and made these all edges and closed them where possible. So very quickly, I've got this coming together. And if I pull up my layers, it's hidden over here. Those are the same layers. So they're all on the correct layers as well. And look at my origin. My origin is where my UCS was. So really ridiculously handy tool, if I may. It was a lot of fun to make that. Pretty cool, and of course, yet more coming with that. And I guarantee that made some people type in some questions. Am I right?
Yes. Yeah, you got a couple oohs on that SketchUp connection, and that was awesome. That had me even excited. So, but if we can actually go back to planting real quick, um, it, there's a couple questions about wool culls and if that would be possible to have those ratings pre-programmed into the plant library.
Oh yeah, that's a very good idea, and that is something that we uh, have been considering how best to do that. What our idea has been, if I can click the right button, because it's done here. So your different user fields here, but to probably what we were thinking is maybe we kind of shoehorn in a button or something here where it can kind of say select from kind of predefined web-based data essentially, which would really be whether it's, I mean, almost without fail, it's pretty much water usage. But yeah, the WUCLs is obviously a subset of that, specific to a particular region, California. And so to be able to select that and access that data, the only reason why it is not engineered already is because, as you might imagine, that is a massive engineering endeavor. That's all. So to get all of that data in there, to consider if it is going to account for a microclimate expansion of the data, right? Because a WUCL's 1 for one person is a WUCL's 2 for someone else, depending on the microclimate. And so do we allow for that? And then do we allow one person to set their 1 to a 2 and have it not impact the other person? And how is that interface? And how is all that engineered? And how does that come together? So that's a huge, huge, huge undertaking, as opposed to users kind of doing it themselves is it's very easy to just simply, I'm going to make this WUCLs. And so then um, then it's up to them. And when they're editing their plants, they're in charge of that data. So it's saved with you, and it's part of your data. So it's not going to be connected to any internet data on our end that might be unavailable or might get changed because of some lunatic somewhere else clicked the wrong number on you, stuff like that. So that's why for now it really does work pretty well, just simply as it is on the local end, leaving it for you to set for each plant manually. But absolutely good point and duly noted. And we do hope to get that coming together. Similarly, we get a lot of requests for people who are applying for lead projects and for any assistance with that. A really good suggestion, and I will be sure we get that duly noted on the wish list.
Definitely would find that to be a handy tool as well. Just being in the studio, we in California, we use will calls on every project, so that would be an awesome feature for sure. Could you show us again where the color render button is?
You bet. And so right on the planting toolbar, that last flyout is all of the rendering options, and from, of course, the planting pull-down menu. They're all just right there, so you can just jump right to color render here, um, or pop it on the flyout.
Awesome. Do you have
And
any, what is the, I guess, the future of the color render tool? Are there any future developments that are planned for that?
absolutely. We have been hearing from people that, the first is, dealing with the shrub areas. People have noticed it's not processing shrub areas yet, because we got distracted on the need to do flower color, and I think we're just going to abandon that idea and just get something out the door with it. Um, but also just fine tuning. The process of creating these thumbnails is extremely involved, so that's why users are not able to browse to their own symbol that they might have created. Um, but also just continued refinement of this matrix of symbols. We were even, maybe instead of starting from simple and going to complex, it came up, well, why don't we start with the kind of more really beautiful and descriptive ones? Why are these way at the bottom? And a user in, I can't remember where, but I just remember they wanted palm trees. So, one of those palm areas, they're all the same, right? But they had a good comment is they're constantly scrolling down to the palm trees, and palm trees are kind of hidden in the middle. So, right, look how easy it is to go, oh, wait, where'd the palm trees go? Let me, up here? Nope. I mean, whoop. Keep scrolling past them. They're kind of hidden in the middle. And so it's almost like we're really it's almost like a discrimination against the palm tree climates. It's not right. So so maybe what might work nice is to put the palm trees all at the bottom, because certainly when you're doing a lot of palm heavy plants, you're pulling from there. So it might be nice to just go zip to the bottom, and these are all the palm trees. Is something we're thinking. So little improvements like that. But hey, let us know your thoughts. We're also considering, maybe this is too many options of being all very simplistic forms. So maybe we should go ahead and cull that a bit. All the sorts of future improvements scheduled for that. And I notice we're running a little over time, so I'm going to try to speed up a teeny bit here um, into details. And luckily, it's not extensive what I was going to show in details. So I'll just pull this up real quick. In terms of details, very quickly, first of all, when you are placing details over here, we have our list of sheets that you'd be placing on. Behind the scenes, that fun little code that I showed, this will automatically pull in your AutoCAD sheet set information. So if you're in a sheet set, bam, that'll be automatic. So automatically linking to your sheet set data. So that was a very often requested option. In the Detail Explorer, we had quite a bit of changes over the last year. First, just making it faster, but also all kinds of capability. So the ability to, for instance, designate this as a folder for this particular project, and then the ability to, for instance, and it works. I think it works best um, to. I'm sorry, I'm going to jump into where we have a wall here. So I have my standard, for instance, details. Here's my standard details, and I go, yeah, I want a variation of this for this project. So we added the ability to just drag and drop. So I can drag that detail in here, and I can, always, of course, have the option. Maybe I was trying to move it, but that's, of course, the secondary option. Really, I was copying it. And so now it's in here, and there's that detail right there. So, but of course, it has a different number and everything, and it's part of this project here. So a lot of Detail Explorer improvements, and as well, the FX Detail library has been really coming along. You can see we're prepping for a lot of details coming in here. I've got right on my list, which I wasn't able to do yesterday, coming today. We got a handful of permalock details, which are going to be pulling right in here. That's why we created the SI category. But first one in here is going to be permalock. So good for them, right? A lot of new irrigation details. This is what we're going to then do for, of course, both site is we'll have the standard details and then a bunch by manufacturer. This is all internet delivered. So when I click, that list came over the internet. When I click on a detail, that preview, download it instantly over the internet. And if I right click on it and edit it, it'll download that detail and then pull it up. And now, of course, it's local. It's obviously not opening over the internet. But that technology is about to be massively expanded over the next year. So look for a really just constant addition of details, both drawn by us, but also provided by manufacturers, all folded in. And as that example showed, I hope, even though that was provided by Lasco, you can tell we did our little magic on these and made sure they matched the Land Effects detail standards. So you can feel free that they're drawn correctly and they will pull in and match your Land Effects layer and color standards. And I'm going to skip over a detail bubble thing. I think I'll show it real quick. Why not? Okay. Just because it wasn't anything too necessarily showable, but the detail bubble call out right here. If I want to say, this is the block, blah, 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 and drop in my little bubble call out. And then where do I want my schedule to appear? And I'll say maybe that will be right in this area here. And then say, this is the backfill, right? I can, obviously say whatever I want to say in here and drop these guys in. And this gets padded up here. But there's a lot of behind the scenes as more people are using this for their details. So everything from the spacing between them to the size of this call out to the easy ability to make changes. So like for instance, to correct a typo here and click schedule, that corrected the type. So little improvements like that, right? So making this a much more powerful tool, and there's yet more coming with it, like the ability to reorder and other things, because more and more users are really liking that tool when making their details. And so that's the last of details. And a couple quick things I'll show here. Fairly minor. I redid the new UCS to make that a little easier and more adaptable. But specify origin point. Okay, I want my origin point here. Of course, I could snap for a point. Specify x-axis direction, so I can click on something, or I can even just click a point and draw it like that, and then give it a name. Rotated, whichever, and then it sets that as my UCS. Very quick and very handy. The other little improvement with that was maybe I'm picking something, I'll pick a line. So see, it doesn't know which way that one is pointing. So it says specify x-axis, very similar to the AutoCAD UCS 3-point, but it just wants to know which way the y-axis is. Is it that way or this way? And then this too, as you can imagine, it's even already scheduled for more improvement. Well, why not say y at the end of this line? Um, you know, so that is also pending for yet more improvement, but as it is, it's still really handy and very easy to use to set a UCS. I had a couple things to show in this one over here. These gradients, we experimented with them with the plant color render, and then we added them to some other features. So for instance, these concept nodes, you can see there's a very gentle gradient applied to it, makes it pop. We then did the same for zoning. So I'll go ahead and just place one of these here. Oh, well, if I edit that, I bet it doesn't have a gradient. There we go. See, you have an option. How about that? I have an option for gradient. So now if I go ahead and place him, he has a gradient. So you can choose whether or not you want that gentle gradient, and that is also the same for site development. I'll edit this one to see. He does have a gradient. Good. So go ahead and place that real quick. And so he has a gentle gradient there. So it really makes those plans pop. This particular plan has a more of a gradient. This was a test drawing. I haven't gone back and updated again. But this one, the ones I just placed here are as it currently is. It's a little gentle gradient. So that looks pretty sharp. And then just the other day, we went ahead and popped, oh, I think I have a previous menu here. Let me see here. I do. Oh my, I'm here trying to show something, and I'm going to have to actually run the update. I'm not even at 10.0. And that's pretty funny, isn't it? I'm showing you 10.0 and I don't have it.
Well, that is a great time to ask a question while you run that update. Drew Braley has a question about grading. And can you tell us a little bit about the plan or the updates that are planned in the new year? Grading, particularly top of wall, bottom of wall callouts, etc.
That's the one that definitely will be coming, and thanks for reminding me on that, Drew. So let me just, I'm writing it down as I'm talking. That's why I sound like I can't think. I'm going to get that for you as soon as I can here. So that one will be coming, yes. So let me just promise you and say it's coming very soon. After running the update, site amenities, look at that. We've made a button for it because this is getting a lot of traction. We are just about to post 4 or 5 models from Game Time in here, which are going to be fantastic, our first play equipment manufacturer. But under site furnishings, I got a fatal error. Hello, AutoCAD 2014. Hey, what do you know? Thank you. Let's pull this bad boy up again and see if we can't get that together. You can tell I just installed this guy. That's why I'm still in trial mode. So, anyway, well, if we never found little errors like that, we would never be able to make a better product, right? Okay. Let's just try it one more time. And if it breaks again, then, something's horribly wrong. See? Weird, right? So that's, in case you're wondering, like, welcome to my world. People say, it crashed on me. I'm like, does it crash every time? No. Yeah, it's a tough one. I'm sorry. But you can see, so we're stacking some more in there. It's getting pretty cool. Going into, like, BRP. Got there, pretty much their whole line. Go to receptacles. There's all their little trash cans. Click one, add that to the project. Downloads it, puts in. They even put in the cost, which is really nice. And I place that. It downloads that block on the fly. That's that tiny little trash can, a little small, but I'm in a metric drawing, and it's sized it right for my metric drawing, and drop them in, and it's fun. So that site amenities button is new, and jumping right in, and there they are, and I can call him out, and so on. So pretty cool. So that was new, brand new. Look for, like I said, right coming up very, very quick is play equipment manufacturers popping in there, which is going to be so cool. So for play equipment manufacturers, all of these link to a Sketchup model and can also even place them over in Sketchup, so it's pretty slick. That is going to be another big part of this year. But notice how I've said lighting and SketchUp, because I was really thinking more about myself. That's what's on my calendar, and of course Drew's grading call out. But the site amenities thing is more going to be on some other people here at the office, namely Andrew there is going to be pulling in a lot of these other site amenities manufacturers. And finally, just a couple of last few little things. So thank you guys for sticking through to the bitter end. I'm just about done. We redid the color conversion process to make it easier. So all the list of layers, I can click on it and I can see a text of what that layer is used for. So it's very easy to determine, hopefully, what color you want that layer to be, whether you want it to be non-plot, and so on. And then also with all the layers that are in blocks, we starred the ones that are used. And so I can click one, and here to click edit, I can see, oh, that's used for irrigation lateral line. So you could know, well, if I don't use the irrigation, I don't have to worry about color 113, and so on. So that process we made a lot easier. We have really been concerned with your data, and as everyone should be, but we have, under the backup button, I can e-transmit this project with all drawings, which is really handy. For instance, if you need to send it to us, you can back up all projects. Do that occasionally. Very handy. That was a new feature. And then that, I don't know if you noticed that when I ran the update, that backup all projects option is in the update screen as well. So very handy and very easy to just simply, I'll go ahead and do it, right? Just go bing, bing, bing. It's going to back up all the projects, and then it's going to tell me where they are. So maybe I want to go ahead and make a backup of the backup, which would probably be pretty smart. So it will just pop up in 1 second here and tell me where I copied them. Also on the install side of things, there we go. All active projects and preference sets have been backed up to boom. So if I wanted to make a backup of that folder, right? But obviously it's always going to be under land effects data backup. So just simply as long as that folder is daily getting kicked somewhere else, that's all you have to worry about. On the install side, nothing I can really show, but in terms of recovery and installing the default database and the install process, that was massively redone. Along with that process was a completely new help system with a knowledge base, and you can search for things. And this is all Forrest is doing, and send Forrest to thank you, because the guy is a superhero over here. But he also did this admin guide. So that admin guide, go ahead and grab that. It is incredible. It covers all of the things of installing, of managing the server, of backup and recovery. If you have more than one station, definitely get this admin guide. Oh, hey, Forrest, here's a typo. Better get on that. Look at that. Yeah, I know. He's got to update my title. What's up with that? But that is still my natural environment. That's still
okay. And he wears a wig now.
It is called a toupee. And even the workstation installer was also improved dramatically. So I'm going to go back here um, to, where should I go? Just, I think on the, oh, we have it right there, workstation installation. Whether you are changing from one CAD version to another, or very common, people get a brand new computer, they get their AutoCAD installed, and they're like, I got to get my Land Effects installed. Why not just stop by here and just make sure you're getting it installed right? But this workstation installer has been dramatically improved, both of these guys. Look at that, they were updated yesterday. So we're always updating these. So, routinely once a month, but certainly, a few times a year. So if you haven't run this workstation installer in a year, come download the new version. If you want all this documentation completely redone, dialed in, linked to all of our troubleshooting steps, just incredible. So, yeah, that's been a huge undertaking here as well. And I think I'm ready for our last question because I'm completely out of ideas.
All right. Yeah. Well, you can definitely see that we have a lot planned in the next few months and next year. Starting with version 10.0, but we have ton more plans as we roll out new versions. So we do have a question from Chris Thompson. Thanks for sending that in. Um, could you talk a little bit about FXCAD or FXCAD 2013 versus 14? He'd like to know specifically, has the boundary, align, or publish feature been included?
Oh, say publish. I mean, publish is. I mean, we did correct. I thought we corrected the publish for 2013. So if you need that updated file, we could send you that. But yeah, it's always had the publish capability. That was just a mistake with the 2013 version. You see that has been corrected both for 2013 and for 2014. So the publish has, and then boundary line was actually corrected pretty far back. That was with 2012. But boundary, right? So I can just say pick a point and drop in here and oh, it's analyzing. Let's see if I kill AutoCAD here, right? It's thinking. We'll let it think. Yeah. Oh boy. I don't see, this is why I don't like the boundary command, but that's why it was disabled initially. Um, yeah, that one was marked in the official AutoCAD command list as a 3D command. That's why the boundary command was mistakenly unavailable with 2012. We then coordinated with Autodesk and made sure it wouldn't violate our contract to enable that, along with the align command. Both of those we got corrected in working with Autodesk. So yeah, as you can see, a boundary command, well, if you can say that works, I don't know if I would call that working. That is really annoying. I would have just manually drawn that polyline by now. So I'm going to just kind of kill that and fire it back up. And in terms of, though, other comparisons between 2014 and 2013, all the, I guess just little things. Let me see here. Like you said, is you're going to notice the tab here is the prominent difference. That's how you can really tell that it is 2014. Otherwise, it really does not look that much different than 2013. And it's, I'm not sure what all I can really say to pitch it, other than like we were talking about the other day, and version between 2013 and 2014, yeah, there's not a lot of difference, but that's the beauty of it. With the FXCAD, you have the subscription rate pricing, so you're able to just grab this next year. There's little tweaks, little things are better, like getting that express text right there on the toolbar and getting the X list on the inquiry toolbar. Little teeny little improvements year to year, so that way it's not shutting you down completely when you jump from 2008 to 2012. It's just, that's too many versions to jump. It's just a lot easier to jump one version at a time. It's not a jump, it's a baby step at that point. So yeah, what's the difference? What's the baby step difference between 2013 2014? uh, you're really it's going to be this. That's going to be the one thing you're going to notice more than anything is that cool drawing tabs, which is handy, and that's a productivity tool. So right there, hey, you got one new productivity tool. That's worth it right there. But of course, you have any issues with this, that's the biggest feature of FXCAD is, I mean, we are your AutoCAD reseller, so you come to us with your AutoCAD issues. So, if that publish command isn't working, let us know. We're your support channel, not someone else. So that's pretty handy, right? Because we are kind of cool.
Yeah, we're super cool. Um, and if you are at any of the conferences, please stop by our booth. We're going to be in Austin next week for IA. You can see how cool we are at booth 1938. We'll also be at ASLA. We're going to be throwing a party, so please be sure to stop by the booth and say hey, but also come to our masquerade party. We're going to be celebrating our 10th anniversary and offering you guys free drinks and some food, and we're going to be providing a shuttle to and from the party. So we'll be attending the gala afterwards. So it's going to be a great night. I'd like to invite you to that. Jer, we have one last question here from Amanda Berry. Just to clarify um, the installers that you showed on the website, um, do those installers do they auto update when you run those versus running? What's the difference between doing that on the website and running the update um, through the software? Is there any difference?
Oh, well, this is, yeah, these installers here, that's just to get your workstation configured for Land Effects. So this is where you don't even have Land Effects installed in here. So if I had a clean machine here with no Land Effects, just AutoCAD. And so that's what the workstation installer is for. Um, and it will check for a newer version, but that was only implemented barely a couple of years ago. And we have people with 6-year-old installations who go, "Up, I got to run my workstation installer to get my new version of AutoCAD configured for Land FX." And it's like, please don't run a 6-year-old installer. It will break AutoCAD. Actually, they changed how they do their support file search paths, and will hose your support file search paths, and it's just no fun. So it's all this in here, but the installer doesn't do much, but it gets your system and your AutoCAD configured for Land Effects. That's what it does, and so it's not a huge amount. And then so once that's installed, yeah, you're just running this to update your Land Effects. As you see, at least once a week, we're putting out a little minor update, but we're not going to push out that workstation installer just because, unfortunately, it's a bit big. And I'm waiting for a little better internet across the board. But that workstation installer is a 13 meg file, and I think that's not appropriate to force people to download that, every month or even every year if they have a weak internet connection. So we just also want to encourage you to just check here before you're installing a workstation, just to kind of make sure that, I don't know, maybe there is some new or great thing, or just to say hi. I don't know. But
So that's recommended just for new workstations. If would you recommend if there is a workstation already installed to run that annually, or just for upkeep, or is that just for new workstations?
yeah, that's just for either a new workstation or changing AutoCAD versions. If you're on your own AutoCAD subscription, and so you just got 2014 installed, and you want to get Land Effects configured for it, just stop by here and download the latest workstation installer.
Gotcha.
That's all I was trying to say. Yeah.
Perfect. Um, all right. We do have one other question. Do we have time for that? You guys cool if we stick around for a few more minutes to answer the question?
It's for me.
All right, great. So we have a question about Batchman, sent in by David. Thanks for sending that. Um, can you just give and this is me here. Can you just give an overview of the plans that we have for Batchman first, and then he has a specific question about the way to Batchman blocks to change the units to unit in feet. Um,
Hmm.
he has found a few lately that have been coming in inches from the original. So I guess just an overview of what our plans are for Batchman, and then
Oh,
specifically
interesting.
um, how to Batchman blocks to change the units to unitless.
Well, and as for blocks, now, if he's talking about our blocks, or if he's using our system to store his, I went into this is I purposely picked this one, like a pool. Some of these might have been drawn in inches, and some might have been drawn in feet. And if you click View, there's the units right here, and so this just does need to correlate with what that block was actually drawn in. So it could be that that's the issue here, not a unitless setting, because the inches and feet, there's no such thing as unitless. So I would want to prevent you from doing the wrong solution. If you're trying to place this pool block and it comes in wrong, that means that this setting is wrong. That's not matching with what the block was. Land Effects will always bring them in a unitless, and it'll apply this scaling right here. As for using Batchman, though, that is a usage of Batchman to set unitless, and that's a great suggestion. I have a little Lisp file that I use to do that. But I think that's a great idea for a standard action, because that's true. A lot of people want to go through a whole bevy of XREFs and just set them to unitless. I think it's a great, great, great suggestion. So I am writing that down right now. Um, Otherwise, our other plans for Batchman are not anything I can necessarily think. There was some fairly recent changes to some of these things. You can see we added 2013 support, other little cleanups. For those who weren't familiar with Batchman, I can do something like, say, I can add a folder, and I'm going to go in and grab that folder. That was that Walter Brothers Plaza, those details. So there's about 5 or 6 details in that folder, and I want to, so I can do a lot of different things. And maybe I want to open all those files up, set everything in there to color by layer and line by layer, or maybe I want to just purge and audit them. So all these sort of standard actions are very common, or maybe you're doing more finesse things, like, for instance, changing their version. Maybe in this case, I want to show you this, which is the most powerful and most cool feature, is layer names and colors. So I'm going to go ahead and click OK. I've never tested this with 2014. Let's make sure it works. There we go. So that opened up all those details, and here are all the layers in those like 5 or 6 detail files. This is horrible, right? These are just, this is a great example of what you should never have. I've got some details with a D dash, I've got some with an L dash, and some with an LG, LK, and an X dash, and X. Oh, it's a mess. So what I can do, for instance, is I can just rename, and maybe I want everything to be LD for L dash detail, or maybe I've determined I want L dash DETL. As an example. And so it'll show me, so this layer is going to be renamed to that. And maybe I want to change the color too. I can. So this is a really cool tool to use, so I can look at all these layer changes. Now, depending on how many files you're processing, you might want to save this, because it could jolly well crash trying to apply these changes to thousands of files. So that's why there's load and save buttons on this. But in this case, I'm feeling confident. I'm just going to say OK. And now it's zipping through, and it's applying those layer changes that quickly. So that was pretty cool, right? So that's what Batchman is. And for the most part, yeah, I can't think of any other wish list items that we had for it. The last little redo, we added this button to it. We had the 2013 support, but I am now going to add a unit list right in here. Set INS units is probably what I'll call it. and we'll probably roll both of these up to just say by layer, because I don't know why someone would pick one and not the other. But really good. See, look at that. I love these ideas from users. Thank you.
Yeah, definitely, and that's one of the things that we always talk about is that we could have actual names next to all the buttons that users have suggested over the years, um, and it's great. It's all based off of your feedback. So please send us your comments, your wish list items, features that you wish you had, and also send us your what your favorite feature is and how much time you think it saved you. All that feedback is welcome. You can send myself an email, andrew@landeffects.com, or Jer. We're all here to support you and support you through the design process and using land effects more efficiently, because we want you to excel in every project that you work on. Jared, did you have any last comments?
Just hey, and I'm totally looking forward to it is one of, if not the highlight of the year. It's saying hi to everybody at these trade shows. So it's been a long, rough year for me, and it's just such a great thing to pop out to a nice city like Boston or to Texas for the IA and see some of you guys again. And so really looking forward to it. So what's I'm done. This is my last day here because Monday flying out to Austin. So going to be great. I'm really looking forward to it. So thank you, everybody, and we'll see you soon.
Thank you, everyone.